Hey there, kiddos. In this video, we're going to go over Unit 7, Lesson 3, where our aim is that we want to be able to solve the area for right triangles. Find the area of right triangles. And so in this first question, we're told, hey, find the area of this square and find the area of this triangle. Well, first off, how do we find the area of a square? Well, area of a square is where we multiply the base or the length times the width or the height. And we're going to start using base times height instead of length times width when we're dealing with our formulas now. And when we look at the base, we see it's 1, 2, 3 units. So 3 times 1, 2, 3 units. So 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 would give us 9 units squared as our area. And what about this triangle? Well, hopefully, if you look at this triangle, what do you notice about it? Let's clear everything. What do you notice about this triangle compared to this square? I'm hoping you notice that this triangle is actually just half of this square. All that's happened is that we've just taken this square here and divided it in half. So that means we're just going to take the area of this square, which was base times height, and we're going to take half of it. We're going to multiply it times 1/2. Or if you wanted to write this as base times height, and then divide it by 2, we're doing the same exact thing. Seeing here that that either we multiply by the reciprocal, which is 1/2, or divide by 2 is going to give us the same thing. So if this was 3 times 3, which was 9 units squared, what would the area of this triangle be? Well, 9 divided by 2 is equal to 4.5. So our area would be 4.5. I'm going to write it as a decimal just to save some space. 4.5 units squared. And how do we know that? Well, we know that is because, hey, when we find or when we're looking at the area of a right triangle meaning you have these two legs that form a right angle. Well, to find the area of a right triangle is to merely take half of the area of a rectangle with the same base, that's this part here, and the same height, which is this part here. So whenever we have a right triangle, we merely have to take the base, which is this part here, multiply it by its height, which is this part here. These are the two parts that form the right angle. And then we divide it by 2. Either divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. So the thing we want to write down in our notebook is this. Right here by the star, this is what we want to write down in our notebook, which is, bam, the area of a right triangle is half the area of a rectangle with the same base and same height. So as long as we can find, as long as we are given the base and the height of that triangle, we just want to multiply the base times the height and divide it by 2 or take half of it in order to find the area of that right triangle. Great. Let's now test this conjecture and see how we can apply it. So in your notebook, you're either going to choose to put tested conjecture number 1 or tested conjecture number 2. So when I check your notebook, please make sure that you are writing TC1. So I know it's tested conjecture number 1 or TC2 for tested conjecture number 2. All right. Selena has a rectangular plot of land that is 3 yards by 2 yards. So we see 1, 2, 3. So this is 3 yards by 2 yards. She wants to create a garden in the shape of a right triangle. So Selena draws a sketch and plot of land in the triangular garden she wants to make below. How big in square yards will her garden be? Well, once again, to find area, we're going to multiply base times height, and then whatever that is, we're going to divide it by 2. And so we see it's 2 times 3, and divide that by 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3 yards. What don't we want to forget? We don't want to forget that it's square because it's area. There's a difference between just 3 yards and 3 yards squared. So all of this is 3 yards squared, whereas this distance here is just going to be 3 yards. All right. Tested conjecture number 2. What's the area of the triangle below? Once again, area is equal to base times height divided by 2. Well, I've got 3 numbers here. How do I know what the base and the height is? Is this the height? Is this the height? Or is this the height? Well, because this is a right triangle, we're going to look at the 2 parts of the triangle that actually form the right angle. And so that's this part here and this part here. So that lets us know, or that helps us to identify what the base and the height is. And so we're going to identify this as our base and this as our height. So we're going to multiply 8 times 15. And whatever that product is, we're going to divide it by 2. And that's equal to 8 times 5 is 40, so that'd be 120 divided by 2, which is 60. And our units are feet, so this is going to be 60 feet squared. Once again, we don't want to forget our units, which are feet squared and not just feet. So the area of this triangle is going to be 60 feet squared. So once again, to remember, what's our key point for today? Our key point for today, or for this lesson, is that we can find the area of a right triangle because it is half the area of a rectangle with the same base and height. That formula would be, hey, base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 of your base times your height. And that'll give you the area for a triangle. So somewhere in your notebook, please have it down, this formula on how to find the area of a triangle, of a right triangle, which is half of base times height. Have either tested conjecture number 1 or 2 in your notebooks. And last but not least, make sure that you have this key point. Great. Let's move on to the classwork for today.